Welcome back. Now we have successfully created our REST API, which is our backend, and our front end application in using React. Now it's the time to deploy both of them to separate places so that we can use what we have created over the internet and not just on your local machine. So we will deploy our backend in this video, and we will use a tool called Heroku to deploy the backend. Now, if you head over to Heroku.com, it gives you a nice set of features that Heroku has, but we are specifically interested in deploying Python applications. And in the list of the languages below, you can click on the Python language, and once you click that, you are prompted to do certain stuff. Then you get a list of things that you can do with Python, and we are interested in getting started with Python on Heroku. So you click on that, and once you click on that, it asks you a few stuff that you need to create or get done before we start deploying stuff. So the first thing is that you need to create a Heroku account. So you if you don't already have, you have to create a Heroku account. So I will log in, and because I already have an account, so I will log into my account. So now that I have logged in, I have a free account. The next thing is Python version 3.6 installed locally, that we have already done. Pip ev installed locally, that we have done through our virtual environment, and Postgres installed locally, that we have also done. So I'm ready to start. So the next thing you want to do is to install the Heroku command line interface, and you can do that by choosing your operating system and follow the steps. Once you have installed the Heroku tool belt, you will need to log in. So in your terminal or command line application, you type in Heroku space login, and it prompts you for an email and password, which you enter, and then you are logged in. So the next thing you want to do is initialize a Git repository. So now that I have logged in, I can use the Heroku function. So it gives me a list of stuff that I can do. So the first thing I want to do is to git init and make it a Git repository. And after I've done that, I need to add all the files to staging so that they can be pushed. Once that is done, I will commit all the changes. The one thing that you need to understand is that you need to create a git ignore file. So I will open this project in Visual Studio Code, and in this list of files I will create a .git ignore, and in this git ignore I will type in when, which is the directory of our virtual environment, because we don't want to push that to Heroku. So I will save that, and once that is done, I will go back to my terminal, and in that terminal I will type in git init. And once it initialize the git repository, I will add all of the required files, which means the complete directory. Once that is done, I need to commit all the changes that I have added. So I will git commit and give it a message of deploying to Heroku. And once you've done that, it creates a commit and commits all the changes that you have made. The next thing is that you want to do is to create a Heroku app for this git repository. To do that, you type in Heroku, and this is assuming that you have logged in using the Heroku CLI, and then you type in the name of your application. So this is what I want you to do. In the name of this application, you type in to do list, and with a dash type in your date of birth. So I will type in my date of birth, and then sorry, it's Heroku create, and then yes, space of, with a space you type in the name of the application. So this is our application. You press and enter. We have successfully created our Heroku application. So if we check the remotes, which means that the remote repository or remote host of our Git repository, we will know that it has a Heroku remote added. So we will type in git remote space -v and press enter. So you can see we have two Heroku remotes added. Now we can push our code to Heroku, but we still need some configuration details to be taken care of. First thing is that we need to add Postgres to our application. To do that, you log into your Heroku, and then you You go to herokuapp.com, and in your list you'll have a list of applications, and in your case, if you're just starting out, you'll only have one of the applications. So name of our application was to do list, so it should be somewhere down here. So yeah, we have the to do list with this application working over here. So I will click on this, and in our resources tab, we will type in Postgres. In the add-on section, we will type in Heroku. Start typing Postgres, so we'll get Heroku Postgres, and then it will prompt us for the version of Heroku. So for free, we can only use Hobby Dev, so we will save that and provision that. Once we have provisioned that, our application has successfully added the Postgres database to our um hosted repository. Now the next thing we want to do is configure our application to use the Heroku Postgres URL and not a local Postgres URL. And to do that, we will import the OS module from Python, and in our URL we will start typing os.environ, which will bring out our environment variables on Heroku, and we will type in database with the capital B, with all caps, and underscore URL, underscore database URL. So we will save that. This should connect our hosted application to the Postgres database available on Heroku, not our local computer. One more thing that we want to do is to make sure that our requirements have been added, which we have already done using pip freeze, so that shouldn't be a problem. Another thing, we will need to install a new package in our Flask application so that it's able to run on Heroku provided servers, and the module name is gunicorn. So what you have to do is type in pip install gunicorn, and then once you do that, it installs gunicorn on your virtual environment, and then you need to freeze all of these requirements into the requirements.txt file. Once you have done that, you need to add and commit these changes and push it to your Heroku. So you'll do git add dot git commit sm add gunicorn. And now that you have added gunicorn, the next thing you need to do is update the prog file that we created earlier and set it to prog file that we set up earlier and set it to web gunicorn. Just copy what I'm doing, unicorn app. So basically what this does is tells Heroku how to start your application server and where to find your application. So it's telling that it needs to start the web app server using the gunicorn module we just added, and it needs to look for an app file, which is basically our app.py file. So we will save the proc file, and then we'll add that, and we will commit add proc file. Another thing that we want to do is to add a runtimes.txt file, which will basically tell Heroku that we don't want to use the default 3.6 version and we want to use our 2.7 version of Python. We will add a file. To do that, we will add a file called runtime.txt. In runtime.txt, we will type in Python, and with the dash we will type in 2.7.15. Once that has been changed and saved, we will add this to our Git repository, commit the changes, add runtime file, and then push the changes to Heroku. Git push Heroku master. And once the build has been completed, it shows you that your application is live on this URL. And to check whether your application is working, you go to the URL. So our URL is http local to do list your date of birth dot heroku app.com, and then you press enter. You see that this hello world works. Another thing we can check is to query the task list. So task lists, task list. We press enter and we get an internal server error. So I really wanted us to run into this internal server error because I wanted to show you how to check your logs. So when you are in your Heroku and you opened your application that we are working with right now, you click the more option and you select more, view logs, and these logs will open up and they will be really descriptive and helpful and tell you what the error is and why we are receiving a 500 internal server error. So you can see, that it's telling us that the relation task lists does not exist, and that is because in our development file we have create all we have used the create all function to create all the database files, but that is not what Heroku does. Heroku directly searches for the task list table and it does not use what's inside our main function. So to do that, to create all the tables that we need for this application, we will type in Heroku run Python, which will run the Python console on your Heroku application remotely, and then from that we can use the db object from our app.py file to create the database. We will type in from app import db and then press enter. So it imports the db object. The next thing you want to do is type in db dot create underscore all and then you press enter. Now that creates all the databases required for your application to work, and to check whether that is working, the only thing you need to do is to reload the task lists URL or the endpoint, and now you see that it receives an empty array because in our Heroku production server we really have not created any task list yet. So that means it works. So the reason I wanted to show you the logs was because as a backend developer, it is extremely important to know when your uh, application is giving an error, and to know that it's very easy to figure that out because 500 internal server error can only mean that your backend application is failing. And when you're receiving a 500 error, you can go into your Heroku logs and see what the problem is. Once you see what the problem is, you know what to do. So you make the necessary changes, you commit them, push them to Heroku, and you can see your application working after that. So that was deploying our application to the web. Now to test out whether it is working completely, we'll open Postman, and in our Postman where will make a request to our API. So let's say we will create a new task list. So our application will rest at HTTP. Name of our application is to do list dash your date of birth. So mine is 25th January 1996. So I will type in my date of birth and then I'll type in .herokuapp.com. So that is the URL where our API is, and the endpoint where we can create a new task list is task lists. And to create a new task list, we need to pass in the name of the task list, and we can do that by passing it through a JSON object. So we will pass in the name, and tell the name to be work, and let's set the name to work, and we will send a request now. You can see that we had a 200 OK response, and to check whether our to-do list was created on the internet, not on your local machine, we will refresh this page, and once it loads, you can see that we now have one task list created. So our API is live and it's running on the internet. Congratulations on deploying the backend part of your application on the internet. In the next video, we will be deploying our front end application, which is the React application. So see you there.